a short talk in front of the great stupa. That afternoon, His Holiness blessed a great stupa that was under construction and participated in the lamp offering ceremony celebrating the U.S. Independence Day. Actually, construction was about to begin. At that time, they said it would be completed soon, but it took many years before it was finished. This great stupa was for Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. Trungpa Rinpoche passed away in a place near Canada, where he entered parinirvana. Later, his skull and pelvic bone, along with teeth and bone relics, were all enshrined inside this great stupa. Construction should have started in 1988, and they say it took 13 years. It took quite a long time to build. When we visited, most of it was completed, but it still took several more years before it was finished. We participated then because they felt it was a rare opportunity. Even though it wasn't finished, they wanted His Holiness to bless it at the base of the stupa. They held this ceremony there. Today, I don't have much to say as I haven't prepared anything, but in accordance with your request, I'll just share a few words with you. I believe all of you gathered here today must be Buddhist practitioners, and in particular Vajrayana practitioners of secret mantra. I guess most of you here have a deep faith and a heartfelt delight in Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. If you want to follow him wholeheartedly, you should have a good understanding of Rinpoche's main activities that he fulfilled throughout his entire life. These activities can be summarized into two aspects. One is to demonstrate fierce conduct, and in the near future, to be born in the kingdom of Shambhala, where he will employ the force of armies to tame and liberate unruly and rampant barbarians. The other is to practice Mahamudra and other skillful instructions that can lead you to attain Buddhahood in this very life. I know you have been engaging in these two main activities over these years, and are authentic followers of the Buddha Dharma. His Holiness introduced the topic this way, because on that day the Dharma throne was set up outside beneath the great stupa under construction. His Holiness was teaching from there. Being practitioners of the great vehicle, all of us have two goals on our Dharma path: to enjoy the temporary peace and happiness in God and human realms, and to attain the ultimate fruition of Buddhahood. The Buddha taught many skillful means through which we can accomplish these two goals: the temporary happiness in the higher realms and the definitive virtue of full enlightenment. Mainly, we need to accumulate merit and to purify obscurations, where there are four key methods to use. What are these four? First, to erect a stupa in a place where there is no stupa. Second, to offer or build a monastery for a Sangha gathering. Third, to pacify the disharmony within a Sangha group. Fourth, mainly to cultivate loving kindness. In all Buddhist doctrines, these four are the most supreme practices for accumulating merit and purifying obscurations. Within these four methods, the best one is to erect a stupa in a place where there isn't one. As the Buddha taught in the sutras, besides the inconceivable amount of merit accrued from actually building a stupa, even if a child simply makes the image of a stupa with sand while playing, this act alone, without any other merit accumulating practices, will unfailingly lead this child eventually to the ultimate enlightenment of Buddhahood. Even when children at play gather sand into a stupa, when they pile sand to form a stupa, all such people have already attained the Buddha way. This is from the Lotus Sutra. It says that even children playing, if they make a stupa out of sand, such people will gradually attain Buddhahood. In terms of the size of the stupa to be erected, the sutras also state that if you build a stupa in a large scale and of fine quality, the merit goes without saying. But just to build a stupa in a size as small as a Chebelik myrobalan seed, a myrobalan is about the size of a walnut, quite small. Even a stupa that small will enable one to temporarily take rebirth as a Chakravartin ruler possessing inconceivable wealth and happiness, and ultimately to attain Buddhahood in a short period of time. Such being the case, if you make a generous donation to the construction of a stupa, it goes without saying that the merit accrued will be extremely vast. Recently, didn't we publish an English version of A Journey to the West? A while ago, they mentioned that after Gyattrul Rinpoche passed away, they were also building a stupa for him. When building the stupa, they planned to use this because they needed to promote it in advance for fundraising. So they included this section about the merit of stupa building. They said this was spoken by His Holiness himself. If large amounts of material wealth are donated, the merit goes without saying. Even a small donation equivalent to the amount of 1% of your food consumed in the 3 meals of one day, 1% of 3 meals a day is very little, will enable you to not be born as poor and displeasing beings, but rather to always enjoy a pleasing appearance and material abundance life after life, and to attain Buddhahood before too long. That day, His Holiness mainly taught them about the merit of building stupas. Regarding Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche's entire life, actually when he passed away, later some books also mention that especially auspicious rainbows appeared, including ones in the shape of the letter A, and in the forms of the 4 auspicious animals, all kinds of signs. Many of Trungpa Rinpoche's children were recognized by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. For example, the reincarnation of the previous Jamgun Kongtrul Rinpoche. Now there's someone called Gezar Mukpo in America. He now acts in films. At that time, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche recognized him as the reincarnation of one of his teachers, or something like that. But there was one who wasn't given to a monastery. Later, it seems the book mentioned he was perhaps slower in his studies or something like that, so they couldn't disrupt the auspicious connection. That's what was said at the time. There was one who was actually a tulku, but he himself didn't take on that role. He said, "I don't want to be a tulku, I want to act in films." He had quite a strong Western worldview, so regarding Trungpa Rinpoche, there are many rather extraordinary stories. However, he lived for a relatively short time. He passed away at around 48 years old. He didn't live very long. Still, he left behind much that sparked people's imagination. In benefiting beings, he had many skillful methods. For instance, when he gave teachings, his approach was quite unique. He would schedule teachings for 7 or 8 in the evening. People would come and wait and keep waiting. Then at 2 or 3 in the morning he would arrive and give the teaching. If it were disciples here, they might be furious. He had them meditate on their own, waiting from 7 or 8 in the evening until 2 or 3 in the morning. There were many such situations. As for those who personally participate in the construction of a stupa, if they spend time undergoing the hardships and difficulties involved in building it, there is no doubt that they will accumulate an inconceivable amount of merit. Even just during a tea break, doing a little work for building the stupa, such as carrying 1 stone, will enable you to be born as a Chakravartin ruler as many times as the number of atoms that make up that 1 stone, and eventually to attain ultimate peace, perfect bliss free from the suffering of cyclic existence. These are the overall benefits that building a Buddhist stupa brings about. If you construct a magnificent stupa specifically for your guru, the merit generated is hundreds or even thousands of times greater than the general case. This is because the root guru is the union of the 3 jewels. His body is the Sangha, his speech is the Dharma, and his mind is the Buddha. He embodies the essence of the 3 jewels. Further, if this stupa contains the precious relics of your root guru, it will produce the same merit as building relic stupas for all the Buddhas in countless worlds throughout the 10 directions. Even if it is built with ordinary rocks and clay, a stupa for your guru, you will still accumulate immeasurable merit comparable to building stupas for all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas with 7 kinds of precious jewels. If we build with ordinary earth and wood, it's actually the same merit as building a Buddha's relic stupa with 7 precious jewels. Since you are constructing this great stupa, you will accumulate merit and enjoy wholesome results as boundless as what I've just mentioned. Not only that, because your guru had an uncommon connection with Guru Padmasambhava, King Gesar of Ling, and Kalkin King Rudra Chakrin, building his stupa also allows you to make closer connections with these great beings, which in turn will bring you vast amounts of merit. In addition, making a donation or serving this project physically or verbally will accumulate boundless merit. Anyone who takes part in this project with the utmost energy and enthusiasm will enjoy longevity, good health, auspiciousness, and happiness in this present life, and in their next life they will be reborn in a pure land such as Sukhavati in the west or Shambhala in the north. In the latter case, they will become the first principal disciples of the Kalkin King Rudra Chakrin. His Holiness said, "Today is July 4th, the U.S. Independence Day." Earlier on, Gyatral Rinpoche reminded us of impermanence and that we are all going to die very soon. At that time, Gyatral Rinpoche kept talking about impermanence because on Independence Day, people usually like to say joyful things. America's Independence Day is July 4th, 1776. So on that day, America's Independence Day, normally everyone would be wearing new clothes, on lawns and among flowers, and they seemed quite happy at the time. Then Gyatral Rinpoche said, "There's nothing to be happy about, everyone's going to die," and so on. So His Holiness deliberately teased, saying that today was supposed to be such a day, but Gyatral Rinpoche reminded you about impermanence and dying soon. Now, I offer you the auspicious prayers that all of you will attain perfect happiness, both temporarily and ultimately. Some claimed that the world would end in 1999. I'm not sure whether that is true or not, but generally speaking, in the near future there may be diseases, hunger, unrest, and other disasters around the world. Considering these misfortunes, you should be confident that there is no negativity that cannot be purified through confession, there is no disease that cannot be cured through medicine, and there is no unfavorable condition that cannot be transformed through accumulating merit. All of these can be overcome. His Holiness was on the Dharma throne here, wearing a military cap in front. When they were holding the ceremony there, they beat drums and gongs. The ritual was quite grand. It looked like an army, but actually they were all yogic practitioners. They chanted while using these instruments. It was quite interesting that day. You can see a bit of it in some of the videos. His Holiness said all these unfavorable conditions can be dispelled. To erect such a strong, splendid stupa with sturdy construction will not only bring you peace and happiness, but also auspiciousness to the whole country and even to the whole world. A few years ago there was a huge wildfire in Colorado. The stupa was nearly burned down. I was quite worried at the time. His Holiness said back then that this stupa is actually beneficial to all of America and even the entire world, although it contains Trungpa Rinpoche's relics, including one of his teeth enshrined in this relic stupa. In reality, through his aspirations as a bodhisattva, it should bring benefit to this world. So now, at that center, the property rights of the stupa are separate from the center. I heard that a few years ago the center we mentioned earlier went bankrupt. They filed for bankruptcy, and now it may have been sold to others or auctioned off, but the center and the stupa are separate. Around the center there are still tourist attractions, so it can be preserved. So sometimes when I think about this, it's a bit impermanent and a bit sad. The center was such a wonderful retreat place for practice. If I were there, I would find a way to just stay there, teaching a bit of practice to a small number of people. If I could stay like that, I was especially envious of that forest. Beneath that forest, those little retreat cabins, one by one, so beautiful. But now, after more than 30 years, things have vanished like smoke, times have changed, much impermanence manifests, so there's nothing to be done about it. However, our center here is still managing to hold on for now. Later on, who knows? What it will become in the future is hard to say. So when I look at many Western centers, when I learn about them now, sometimes I feel especially happy. Wow, they're still continuing their study and practice. But sometimes, back in those days, they were so flourishing. Those teachers were so great and remarkable. People from all over the world were so devoted. But in the end, they've all gradually departed. So sometimes when Gyatral Rinpoche spoke of impermanence, it truly is impermanent. Back then, on American Independence Day, beneath this stupa, there were so many teachers present. Now, almost all these teachers have passed away, including those who attended the lamp offering ceremony there. I believe most have probably already passed on, because many adults would have departed to some degree. So when the center has now become like this, sometimes when I recall it, there are many moments that are quite bittersweet or joyful. All kinds of scenes vividly reappear. This great stupa carries inconceivable benefit. When it is completed, if you can actively make prostrations to it, circumambulate it and praise it, both you and others will experience auspiciousness and all wishes will be fulfilled. Some of our Dharma friends said, "We're planning to make this trip following your itinerary, but this will cost quite a bit of money. It's fine when you write about it in a book, but you fly from Hawaii to San Francisco to Boulder to the Rocky Mountains, and then from the Rocky Mountains to there. It's possible if you have enough money. Following His Holiness's footsteps would be fine. If you go there, don't forget to circumambulate this stupa. Please do a circumambulation or two for me as well. I once visited this place, but later, who knows if I'll have the chance to go again in this life. If I do go, I'd probably feel both joy and sadness in my heart. The joy of visiting this place might be quite wonderful. The sadness is that the teacher is no longer there, and at that place, who knows what the center has become now. If you go there, circumambulate, prostrate, and praise it there. In that way, everything will go smoothly for yourself and others, and all wishes will be fulfilled. Tashidelek, good, we'll stop here for today.
Kirgana jirano chukai chupun zolen droa droa bandangara badma asadarda bandangara badma asadarda bandangara badma asadarda